Scott, Zenzile legend.
Ooh,
And
legend. I like that.
Yes. And she is a native of Oakland, California. She's been in professional ministry for almost 30 years. Wow. She graduated from Howard University.
Hey, yes. Shout out Howard, y'all.
Yep, with a BA in communications. She went on to Colgate Rochester Divinity School, and she received a Masters of Divinity. And most recently, she has become a certified social entrepreneur. Zenzile started and pastored a local church called Abundant Life Ministries for 15 years. And after getting really sick, she decided to close the church and focus on her health. She lost over 100 pounds.
Oh, 100 pounds?
100 pounds.
I need to learn how to do that.
Right?
I only knocked off 70, so she can get 100.
Well, I mean, 70 is nothing now.
I know.
Now.
Yeah, I thought I did something.
Right? Okay, you thought wrong. Okay, because she lost over 100 pounds and completely reversed her diabetes. Wow. Now, as the executive director of My Beautiful Soul, Inc., Zenzile has a passion to help others who need to lose weight and get healthy. Her personal motto is, "My health is my wealth." And she endeavors to live that out each and every day. Welcome, Zenzi.
Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here.
We are so glad to have you. Everybody, I've known Zenzi my entire life. And so when I saw that she has started this endeavor, and we are now also sisters in the wellness field. And so that's super amazing. And I'm so proud of you and so thrilled. First of all, you look completely insane. I mean, you look so good.
Come on.
I really want to steal her entire outfit, except I'm not that skinny. So never mind. But it's really, you look amazing. You are doing the things.
Amen. Zenzile, first question.
Yes.
Any relation to John Legend?
No relation.
No relation. Not that we know of. So fill us in. Where does this last name? That's a powerful name, Zenzile Legend. Where does that come from?
Well, let me just say Zenzile is an African name. It's West African from the Oza tribe, XOSA. And it means one who's able to overcome life's obstacles, one who makes her own way. My mother named me that, but when she named me as a baby, she thought it meant nut brown baby. She found out later what it really meant. And it came from an African artist by the name of Miriam Makeba. Some of you may have heard of her.
Yes.
Her African name is Zenzile. So that's how I got that name.
Shout out, Tam.
That's my mom.
Shout out, Tam.
And
Shout out,
Legend is interesting because I pastored a church for 15 years, as you already know. And there was a season where people were feeling led to change their names to match who they had become. And they wanted to leave behind who they had been. And so I didn't feel the need to change my name. I didn't feel led to do any of that. But one day I preached a sermon called I Am Legend. And as a result of that message, I felt like I heard the Lord tell me that it was time to change my last name from Scott to Legend.
Wow.
And that's been
powerful.
That's been like 20 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful. And what was that sermon about specifically?
I do not remember, to be honest with you. That was a long time ago.
But
it's when the movie had come out with Will Smith. And I really loved that movie. And there was something about it. I'm trying to remember. I'm not going to pretend like I remember what it was, but I'm sure it had to do with legacy. I'm sure it had something to do with legacy and what it is we're going to leave behind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I changed my name as well. I'm sure at least most of our co-hosts know this. Some of the listeners may know this, but I traveled to Ghana. I lived there for a year also in West Africa.
Really?
And I ended up changing my name as a result of that experience. I can definitely relate. That's powerful. That's powerful. But
love that.
We were scrolling through your Instagram before this show started, and we saw that you lost a whole human being in weight.
100 pounds.
100 pounds.
If you don't mind me asking, how long did it take you?
I don't mind you asking at all, but I will say it's 100 plus. I stopped
Right.
counting
Right.
After 100. Okay, come
Yes.
on. Let's get it.
There you go.
Yes.
And from the time I started, you want me to go ahead and
Yeah, break it
what
down.
Yes,
motivated
please,
me?
please,
Yeah.
please.
Come on, share with our
Okay.
viewers.
So let me just say that while I was pastoring, my only vice was food.
Mm.
I didn't smoke, drink, have sex, none of that.
Mm.
But I ate,
Mm.
and it was my
Yeah.
comfort. And
What made you pick up the food though? Like comfort what? Stress.
Mhm.
Okay, I can relate to
pastoring
that.
is so stressful. And I was a single pastor raising a daughter by myself.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize how difficult it would be when I accepted the call to pastor, especially doing it by myself, but not having somebody there to just be there for me
Right.
was extremely stressful.
Right.
And so I found my comfort in food because nobody really understood what I was going through because none of the people I was around were pastors. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Or female pastors and single mothers at the same time.
Exactly.
Right.
So that is how it really started
Mm.
in terms of, I mean, I was not eating correctly before then, but the stress just took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, so every time we were stressed out, we was getting the Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Mhm.
We was going fast food and the whole nine.
Well, I cook.
Oh, okay.
So
wow.
I'm frying chicken,
Yeah.
I'm making
Oh,
spaghetti,
wow.
Right, sure.
I'm doing the whole thing, not a whole lot of fast food, although I wasn't against fast food. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
But there was just a whole lot. I love having groceries at my house.
Yeah.
You know, I love being the one that you can come to my house and you know you're gonna get some food. You're gonna get something good.
You're gonna
to
leave with
eat.
a plate, huh?
That's right.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, you know, I did, and I did no exercising whatsoever.
Mm.
Other than praise and worship. I led praise and worship, which
Yeah.
went about 30 minutes, and it was a good workout,
Yeah.
but that was once a week.
So we
Yeah.
30
Right.
minutes.
That was right, right,
Yeah.
exactly. Once a week, 30 minutes. That wasn't enough to offset what I was eating.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, people do love to feed pastors, so
Yeah.
they're feeding me and,
Uh-huh.
you know, sweets and candies and
Yes.
cookies,
Oh,
and, you know.
Pass the treats.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
We've talked about that a lot too. Like I remember me and Kat have had a lot of conversations in the past where we talked about the whole relationship with church and food, you know, and how
Yes.
at the little gatherings that sometimes happen afterwards, and all of the things
Absolutely.
that
They love to
happen
eat.
in the church community,
Mhm.
where then there's also all the church ladies and some of the church men and the events
Yes.
where there's barbecue involved
Right.
and all of these things and pastries and all of that.
Yeah.
And then that's the expectation,
Mhm.
right? That you come, you bring this food, people eat this food, and then what's happening in our communities is that it just continues to blow us up and cause us
Yes.
to have different medical problems. So can you tell us a little
Absolutely.
bit about what I want to know, first of all, as a mom?
Mhm.
Leave that just a little bit for me. There, I want to see her face. I want to know, as a mother, number one, how did you know that you were starting to not feel your best? And how was that impacting your parenting? Like, were you able to be as active as you wanted to be?
Well, when my daughter's 29 now, when she was younger, I don't even know what it means not to have energy. You know, even if I wasn't feeling my best, I always gave it to her. So I don't even remember not having it at that time of her life.
Wow.
But when I started feeling sick, she was older. She was a teenager. She was doing her own thing. She
Right.
didn't really want to hang out with me that much. So so it didn't have as much of an impact as it may have when she was younger. But I did start to feel unhealthy when I realized I didn't have energy to do anything but work.
Mm.
I didn't want to do anything else because I needed to rest so that I can be prepared for the work that I had to do in that coming week.
You know, it's so interesting because I got to the same point in my life where I'm raising 4 boys, and I found myself, like, you know, working 10 to 12-hour shifts in corporate America. And then on the weekends, I just want to lay on the couch.
Right.
I just want to lay there and sleep and rest. And my son be like, hey, let's go play. And I'm like, Daddy's tired.
Right,
Daddy needs to
right.
sleep. Daddy wants to just lay here for a minute. And then it didn't help that at that time I was drinking in my life as
Yeah,
well. So
yeah.
having hangovers and different things like that, it was like, man.
Oh, Lord.
And then you look up and you're like, why don't I have enough energy
Energy.
to play with my own kids?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And it's one of those moments that you have to really look within yourself and like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, how did I get to this point?
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so the motivation, what was the end? What was the last straw? What was the last straw for you?
My diabetes diagnosis.
Okay. Okay, but wait, hold on. So we have a lot of people in our communities that have a diabetes diagnosis.
1 in 3 Black people
Okay.
have or will be diagnosed.
Preach it.
Excuse me. No, that's the white people. It's 1 in 2
Oh,
That's
for
the
Black
white
people.
right. And I
Yes.
just
And there's
heard.
4 of us in here.
Okay.
Okay. And I just heard a statistic on the radio the other day that really, really stopped me in my tracks and shocked me, which was something like 47% of Black men in this country are obese. And then there was another statistic that was alarmingly high.
I heard that too.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay, and it was just on the radio and I was
Yep.
just driving
Yep.
and I was like, oh my God, I did not realize that because you know, the men in my family are very lean. You know, my dad weighs like 3.5 pounds, and so does my brother. And they're very lean and tall. And that just wasn't my experience in my personal family, but I do know that that's an issue. I just didn't realize that the issue was that severe.
Yes.
Right.
And then when you talk about the diabetes statistics, the high cholesterol statistics,
Right.
the heart disease statistics, the stroke, all of that stuff. And so what my question was we know that's happening. In our community, we know that's happening. People are not stupid. They know when they are at these events or at home or whatever, and they're eating and cooking and doing all these things that can lead to poor health. And so there was something different in you that made you decide enough is enough, that made you say to yourself, this is not the life I want to live. And so I really want to know, and I think our listeners will want to know too, how, why, what happened, why you?
Good question. I'll start off by saying that I had a grandmother who had diabetes. She was a registered nurse and it was well managed, but she would take insulin shots every day. So I grew up seeing that. So it wasn't, diabetes wasn't foreign to me, but I never thought I would get it.
Yeah.
You know, that's how we live, especially when we're young. You know, we don't think we'll get it. So when I did get the diagnosis, which I had already been sick, mind you, I had already lost my eyesight
Wow.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
for like a month and was still preaching and teaching every week.
How old were you?
In my 40s.
Wow.
I was in my 40s at the time. And but I didn't have health care. So I wrote it out and prayed and believed, and my eyesight did come back.
Oh,
But when I got my diagnosis, then it all clicked. It was like, oh, that's why I lost my eyesight. And that's why I came back, because my sugar levels got back.
Started to connect all the dots.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so, you know, and the nurse practitioner that gave me the diagnosis, she sounded so apologetic. She was like, I'm so sorry to tell you that you have diabetes. And the way she said it, she was
It's like a death
you're
sentence.
gonna die.
Yeah.
You know,
like it's only a matter of time.
and
Right.
that's
Yeah.
and at that time I didn't even know a whole lot about diabetes, because like I said, my grandmother, she continued to live her, you know, regular life. But the way she said it, it rocked my world.
Yeah.
And
It woke you up.
It did. It
Yeah.
woke me up. And
Yeah.
I was moving into a fast anyway, because we fast around the resurrection season from Ash Wednesday to resurrection. And that's 40 days. And so I decided to do vegan for 40 days.
Woohoo!
And in that, my sugar levels came down. I was using the medication there. I started on metformin. And I also had high cholesterol, and I also had high blood pressure, which I never had any of those things, but they're a triple threat. So they say they all come together. I found out later that a part of that has to do with the medicine that they give you, but that's a whole nother.
Metformin is pure hell,
That's a whole
everyone.
nother
I just
thing.
want to say that as somebody who was given that during my infertility issues. They gave me that for, there were many crazy things that they gave me, and I didn't get better till I stopped taking any of it. It's like, let's try this, and metformin was pure health.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of issues with Western medicine.
Yeah, me too.
But the point that I'm making is that I woke up when I realized that this was something that they told me I could never get rid of. But there was something in me that knew that if I changed my life,
I like how you said that. Yeah.
That I could beat this disease.
Wow.
Or as I like to say, I could reverse the curse.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Because you said it right there. It's a lifestyle change.
Exactly.
It is not a diet.
No.
It is a lifestyle change.
It really is.
And that is what so many people get so afraid when you hear the word diet. What people are thinking is, I'm not going to be able to eat this or that or the other. Well, you sure ain't going to be able to eat it if you did.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Actually, it reminds me of this interview that Kanye West did, I think, with David Letterman. And he was talking about the power of language, right? And how the root word of diet is die. Right? And it's something that naturally, like most people fear death.
Yes.
When you say diet, naturally think of dying.
Even subconsciously,
right? That's really powerful what you said about your grandma having diabetes and that becoming like part of your childhood experience, right? Something that you normalized. And Kat and I talk about this a lot because my trainer, of course, getting me right. But we talk about how, you know, a lot of Black people normalize these diseases, saying, "Oh, this runs in my family." Right? Alcoholism, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. It runs in my family. When in reality, it runs in the cookbook.
The recipes,
It
The recipes, the Christmas dinner, the Thanksgiving meals, right? And what I want to ask you, right, is during that time as a reformed fat boy myself, I have a hell of a journey. I can on some of this, but as a reformed fat boy, I know that I always had my favorite meals. Right? And I want to ask you, what during that period in your life, like what was your go-to meal, especially being a chef, right? What was that thing that's like, this is going to get me to my level?
Now, you said so many things that I want to touch on. I'll answer your question first, though. The first thing that just pops into my head is fried chicken and French fries. Woo! I mean, that was just my thing. I also love me some burgers. I love a bacon cheeseburger. Throw an egg on it. You can even put some avocado on it. I really, really loved French fries. That was, that
Where
was
from,
my
like
go-to.
Homemade or from a restaurant?
Homemade, but I also,
you heard she could throw dance.
I know. She
But-
be up in there with the
But On's Burgers on Grand is delicious.
What's it called?
On's.
AHNS.
Yeah, by the way.
Okay, I've never been
On
there.
Grand.
They
I
don't
might
get no
have
free
seen it.
promo though.
I know.
I wasn't trying to do that.
That's okay. We're in Oakland. It's all right.
But you know what? But I want to go back to something that you said about the whole diet, because what I like to tell my clients is that we're not on a diet, we're on a live it. For the exact reason that you
Yes.
mentioned.
Oh my goodness.
That it's a live it, which means it's a lifestyle. And and I used to get caught up in, I'm not going to be able to have this. I'm not going to be able to eat that.
Yeah.
I had to go through a journey to lose a certain amount of weight, which I will say, by the way, in that 40 days, I lost 30 pounds on vegan.
Wow.
So I lost the first 30 on being vegan.
Shout out.
Yeah, and then I went on. So I was happy because I moved from a size 22 to a size 14. And my first goal was to be a size 14. I didn't really care so much about the scale because I always hate the scale. I still hate the scale. But there's a certain size that I wanted to be. And so when
something that made you feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so from being a 22, a 14 looks small. So I stayed at 14 for about 4 years until I realized, 14 is still fat. At least it is on me. For me,
And so your point is your body, because some people, you know, we forget that there's people that are like kind of women that were like bigger boned and small boned, and petite, you know, and so you don't want to necessarily, for you personally, you're saying you weren't feeling that a 14 was comfortable for you.
Exactly.
A 14 is comfortable for a lot of people, and a lot of people love themselves
and
at that size.
Wonderful.
And look at that size and bigger and whatever. That's whatever's comfortable for you is what's really important.
Right.
But you're saying that was, you realized that after 4 years that you wanted to take it to the next level for your personal body.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I still had diabetes.
Oh.
So I wasn't giving up. You know what I mean? I was like maintaining, and then it was time to, once I realized, okay, it's time to start back on this journey again, then I went down from a size 14 to a size 12 in like a year. And then from that point on, I was kind of like going down a size a year. And last year I ended up going down 2 sizes. So I went down from a 22 to now I'm a size 6. And to answer your question, it took 7 years.
Ooh,
it was a 7-year journey. And, you know, and I'm 56 years old.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was able to lose weight fast when I was younger.
Yeah.
But as I got older, and the weight stayed on my body longer, it was more resistant to leaving me.
Yeah.
Sure. It thought this is where it belonged because it had lived here for so long.
And you had made it so comfortable there.
Exactly. And I'm inviting friends.
Right. It's like the guest that doesn't want to leave.
But what's so interesting, if somebody told you that it was going to take you 7 years to get to your goal, you know what I'm saying?
I would have been discouraged.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a lot of people is like, if I told somebody, you know, you can be a potential millionaire in 7 years if you do X, Y, and Z. You'd be like, 7 years? That's forever.
That's right.
But it's not, because it's coming. You're going to get there. You're going to get there one way or the other. Do you want to be healthy when you get there? Or do you want to not be healthy when you get there?
Exactly.
That reminds me of, you know, body image, and like scales is such a Western world European idea. Right? Because I lived in Ghana for a year, and women over there are beautiful. Right? They have bodies that are the complete opposite of what the American standard considers to be beautiful. Right? And it really hit me because I went back to Ghana, and I took my wife and my mother. Right? And on the plane coming back from Ghana, I remember my mother saying, "This is the first time I've ever felt like I fit in." Right, from a physical perspective, right, and she's in her 40s, right, and it's like, wow, like this is what's happening to us in this country.
That's right.
And so it's probably, but at the same time, it is important to be healthy and feel healthy.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
I haven't weighed myself in years, right, but I grew up, I was pre-diabetic when I was 12 years old, right, and I might have shared this with Kat, right, but I remember going to the doctor and they pricked my finger. They said, if you keep going down this path, you'll be diabetic. Right. And I had, at the time, I had an older half brother that died from diabetes complications when he was 18.
Oh,
wow.
So that was like, again, the normalization, right? So it was like, after that, I got some ice cream after that. I was like, I don't give a shit about this. All right. I don't care about this. Right?
You're going to get you quick.
I know. Leave that out. Right? Like just talking about that normalization, right? Yeah. And I want to ask you, like you said, the turning point for you was diabetes, right? What do you think is, you know, Kenya brought up a good point. A lot of us have diabetes. What do you think is missing in their lives that's keeping them from having that turning point, that moment?
In one word, I'll say denial.
Yes.
And I was living in denial too. Now, the thing that people don't realize, because we're really not taught, is that diabetes is not in our DNA.
Not
like
at all.
You were saying. It's in what we choose to eat.
Yeah.
And oftentimes what we choose to eat is what we've been raised to eat.
That's right.
And so we just continue that cycle and, you know, feed our children the way we have been fed. And so it's no wonder why my grandmother had diabetes, my aunt has diabetes, and now I have diabetes. You know, I don't have it anymore, but I had it. And that was a real eye-opener for me, because when you think it's hereditary, you give yourself permission to eat however you want to eat, because you're going to get it anyway.
That's right.
You know, that's what you have in your mindset.
Yep.
You know, you think I'm going to get anywhere, or if I get it, I just get it, but I'm going to eat, I'm going to enjoy my life, you know, and they're not really thinking about the future, and they're not being informed. And I'll say we, I don't mean they, we are not being informed that there are 30 plus different types of diabetes.
Yeah.
Some of it comes from environment, some comes from food, some comes from, certain things that do go on in our bodies that are hereditary, that, will add to, a poor diet and no exercise and all of that, and that might lead to it. But there's no one cure for all diabetes. And the best way to cure it is not to get it in the first place.
Right.
And so I think that our people, and it really is just Americans in general, it's not just Black people, we it's become so normalized in our society to have diabetes, and big pharma is making so much money off of us having diabetes.
$billion industry.
That's the truth.
And the doctors, they're not here to cure us, they're here to treat us.
That's right.
So their
Maintain
mindset,
Right.
so their mindset is not even about, you can get rid of it, because that's what I was telling my doctors, and they're like, oh, that's nice. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't believe
do.
me.
That's right.
They didn't believe me.
That's right. Because also, too, I think a lot of Americans, and I know a lot of Black Americans, we idolize doctors. We idolize people in the medical field. And I know that doctors are overall wonderful people who get into this field because they love to help people, and they are doing what they are taught to do. And doctors are saving our lives every single day. Doctors and nurses, who shout out to nurses, saving our lives every single day. But there's a glitch in the system, and there's a glitch in the communication between doctors and patients. And the glitch is a lack of empowerment, and it's a lack of sharing with people that you are empowered without me. You can do certain things.
Well, if I empower you, I can't get money from you.
Well, hey, they do go to a lot of through a lot of schooling in order to get the money that they so richly deserve.
But they're practicing positions.
Yes. And the glitch of not communicating to the patient, and I'm not saying all doctors, because I know that all doctors are not like this, but many are, because they're trained to say, take this pill, or this series of pills, or this cocktail of medications, and then we will get, you can survive.
But it's part of the system that they go through. They're following the system.
Of course it absolutely is. And I understand that. As somebody who was trained to do mental health a certain way, and trained to work with my clients a certain way, and realized when I was working with clients that it wasn't working and I had to do something different. It's a challenge out there to take what you've learned in school and that you put all your time and money and energy to, and then you get out and you see, okay, well, this isn't the only choice here. And so they even talked about this in What the Health. And I went over this with my dad when my dad was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. And I'm like, we have to clean out your cabinets. And I'm sorry, Dad, but I am about to bust you here.
You gonna put Pops on blast?
I'm about to put him on blast, because here's the thing.
I have him coming down to the studio.
Right. Pre-diabetic to him just meant he was going to have to get a finger prick all the time, and he hates needles. And then I said, okay, so let's look in your freezer. His freezer is ice cream and pie crust.
There we go.
Okay, ice cream and pie crust, Dad, is not a
necessity.
It's
not a necessity.
You got the car,
not a meal,
flour.
right. And then going through the cabinets, I won't even go into the cling peaches and all the other things I found in his
Well,
cabinet.
you gotta have something to go in the pie.
But
you gotta have fruit. Fruit is a necessity.
Right. Yes.
I got my sugar.
Not heavy syrup, though.
But here's the thing. In the manual, and I know that you got this, Zenzile, when you were diagnosed. I'm sure you got the little manual from your doctor saying these are foods that you should be eating, and so when I looked through that, I was like, oh, you shouldn't be eating this for your health. You should not be. I was reading it, and
diet soda is okay.
I was absolutely
you can have diet
stunned.
soda. That's perfectly fine.
Right. Well, because the idea is well, it's not actual sugar, so it's not going to have the effect on your body that sugar has. But your body is fooled into thinking something's happening that it's not. And so that's a big part of it, which is let's get to a place, and that's why I love your new company, your venture. Let's get to a place where we are sharing the truth with our clients. We're sharing the truth with people, with our community, about empowerment and about taking what you thought you knew about food and about wellness and this whole, my uncle told me this one time, y'all, well, it's hereditary. No, what you put in your mouth is actually not hereditary. What you put in your mouth is a choice. And so, and it's a hard choice to change. It's really hard because we're raised a certain way. We're raised thinking that this is good. And then it's all connected to our best memories. Christmas times with our family. You know, when I was a young girl, I loved chitlins. Like, you know, it was just
that's where you lost me.
I'm sorry, I did. I'm just keeping it real. Honey, I'm just saying, as a child, that was my jam. I looked forward to going to Chicago because my Aunt Leela would tear up some chitlins. Okay, that was my jam. But that is all connected to my family memories, some of my best memories. And so that's where it gets us. You know, absolutely our traditions.
I mean, so many of our families came from the South.
Mine
you know what I'm saying? And that's where, when I first encountered chitlins, it was at my grandmother's house, right? And she's from Louisiana. And when I walked in, I had to be at least like 4 or 5. And just the smell of death in my grandmother's house. I was ready to run out. I thought like an animal died in my granny's house. I was mad.
An animal did die.
I was like, what? We're going to eat who? What?
And
y'all smell this?
The animal died, and then we took them poo-filled intestines, and boiled them.
You know, lemon juice and everything.
We got to talk about that real quick. Just for the people who don't know, sometimes I find myself thinking this is common knowledge, when really it's not.
Good point.
But just looking at the history of a lot of the things that we consume, especially within our community, a lot of those things are rooted in slavery, right? And I'm thinking, everybody knows this.
That's right.
People don't even know what Juneteenth is, right?
Okay.
So, like, just considering that slaves were considered lower than dogs, right? So we would literally be given the pieces of meat
scraps,
that the master and his family did not want to eat, meaning intestines and the chicken's feet. Right? Like the pig hooves. Like, we didn't eat these things because we wanted to. We ate them because we had to.
That's right.
And now that we are in a position of freedom, quote unquote, we don't have to choose to eat those things anymore, even if they are attached to tradition. We're not supposed to eat vessels for feces, right? Like that. That's a choice to eat that. Right?
And a lot of cultures do. You know, that there's all kinds of stuff in Mexican culture and all the cultures. There's always some sort of organ meats involved. But I think it's also changing the narrative, like what you said, Kwesi, about we were given these scraps and stuff like that. Me and Kat have talked about this lots of times. Instead of calling it soul food, I call it slavery food, right? Because then we had the innovation of our people of taking seeds and planting underneath the floorboards of the cabins of the slave quarters, right? And growing fresh vegetables, because that was that's also a part of our our ingenious culture, and and braiding seeds into our braids to take to the free land, you know. So it's changing the narrative of what we are capable of as far as changing what we do. And we have had to endure and had to survive so many changes as a culture and as a people, but this is one that we can also do. And this is something that we can also change to pass down to the generations. And I want to talk a little bit, Zenzile, about what your goal is with your company. Tell us your company name again so the people can hear you.
Yes, it is a nonprofit, and I'm the executive director of My Beautiful Soul Incorporated.
Yes.
And the reason why I named it My Beautiful Soul is because the soul is the life force of our being. So it encapsulates our mind, our body, and our spirit. So in one word, if we want to talk about our complete being, I like to use the word soul. And it was born out of the fact that I didn't think that I would be able to lose the amount of weight that I lost. And I never thought that I could move from, sitting on the couch to wanting to work out and walk every single day. It was born out of the fact that I no longer have diabetes, and I know so many people, loved ones and people that I just come in contact with throughout the day, who are struggling with these same challenges.
Because it's so interesting that I'm hearing. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's so empowering once you do something like that. Once you lose 100 pounds, or once you get to that goal that you set out to do, you're like, what can I do next?
Right.
How can I help somebody else that was in my shoes?
Right, because you're thinking to yourself, I did this. I did this, and then how can I spread this love?
Right.
Come on.
And Jay-Z has this quote. He says, "What would you do if you knew you could not fail?"
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is that not everybody feels that way, though, when they do accomplish something. They kind of just keep it to themselves or just do whatever they're doing. But for me, coming out of a place of, I'm a servant in my heart. And I knew that people needed help. I needed help. And it took me a long time to get to the point where I believed enough in myself to just do what I know I needed to do for my health. Because when you get to a certain age, you start to think about your own mortality. And somewhere in your 40s, you get to thinking about those kinds of things. And it's like, I'm going to die one day. And if I don't get this together, I'm going to die sooner than later. And I don't want that. And I want to have a quality of life that I can enjoy. And so all of these things are just, and I journal and I blog. And so I write about these things, and, and I want people to know that this is something you can do. Today, I wrote in my blog was, the process is priceless. And basically it's not getting so focused on the destination that you don't value the journey. And there's so many things that go on in the journey that by the time you reach the destination, you're looking to go somewhere else because you've reached that goal. So now it's time to make another goal. And so that, that's something that I live with, and that I want other people to know and to believe that it doesn't matter. I have a client who's almost 400 pounds. He has to lose 100 pounds in order to have a kidney transplant because he had kidney cancer, lost a kidney. Now it's been like 3 or 4 years that he's been on 3 days a week of dialysis because he didn't feel he had the support that he needed. And I don't even know if he would even say it like that, but he didn't have the support that he needed to be able to believe that this is something he could do. So he linked up with me through a mutual friend, and I've been working with him, and each week we have these goals. And the first week was for him to just stop eating fast food and sodas. And he lost 8 pounds in the first week just by doing that. Exactly. So I don't know if I got away from your question, but
that's real. Like she was definitely asking about the nonprofit, but I pray that people who are listening to this, because I was somebody who lacked belief in myself as well. Right? And I've come so far that when I tell people my story, they can't even believe that this is the same person. It's just a testimony to the power of belief.
Yes.
But something I realized in my journey is it was never about the food, right? It was never about the food and how it made me feel. It was what it was helping me to escape from. Right? And a lot of people, like, whatever, you can be addicted to anything. You can be addicted to Jesus, right? But like, a lot of people are addicted to drugs, they're addicted to sex, they're addicted to alcohol, they're addicted to food. And all these things are just an escape, right? And I really pray that people listening to this really hear Zenzile's story and how she acknowledged, right? Like that's the first, even in the 7-step program to cure alcoholism, right? Like the first step is awareness, right? Understanding there is an issue before we take any action steps to resolve it, right? So like your nonprofit, what is the mission and what do you hope to accomplish?
And so the mission is to empower people to be able to evolve into the best version of themselves through their mind, their body, and their spirit. And what I really want to accomplish is helping people through teaching and coaching and consultation. I'll be doing conferences, I'll be doing summer camps, and even church. Like once a month, we'll have a service. And I want people to be empowered to know that you can change your relationship with food. You don't have to continue to think about it like how we were talking earlier about how holidays or, we want certain foods on the holidays and birthdays and things like that. I've learned how to be excited about eating different things. And, and that took time for my mind to make that shift. But I realize now I don't have to have a carb with every meal. And I lost the last 70 pounds, by the way, through the keto plan. And that's really good for diabetics because it cuts out sugar and carbs. So that's automatically going to bring your glucose levels down. So if someone comes to me and they have diabetes, then that's the plan I'm going to recommend for them. But that's not the right plan for everybody. And I don't think that it should be one plan for everybody. But if you are diabetic, that is the one I strongly recommend because you don't eat carbs, you don't eat sugar, and you lose weight quickly. And your blood sugar goes down. You start to, you can cut down on your medicine and it doesn't take a long time. I've had another client where that happened for her and she tried all different kinds of diets and plans and things like that. And they just didn't work. And then with the keto plan and also just my being there to support her, she was able to lose weight, get off of insulin, and she's continuing on her journey. And so this is what I want to provide for my people because I know that I have a testimony and I still believe if I can do it, anybody can do it, and I'm here to help whoever wants to do it. Now, that's the other thing, though. You have to want to do it. I'm not going to drag you. I'm not going to beg you. I'm not going to pull you. I have other friends that are like, oh, yeah, Zenzile, I want to do this and I need to lose weight, but, and they're coming up with all these excuses. And that's okay. They're not ready.
You're not ready. If you're not ready, don't waste your time. Because then also too, you get so discouraged if it doesn't work out because you really weren't there to begin with. And so you have to truly, truly be there.
One of the things I didn't mention is that we have these walking clubs. And so we walk every morning, Monday through Friday at Lake Merritt at 6:30 in the morning. We meet at the Cleveland Cascades, the steps. We meet there and we walk once around the lake, and it takes about an hour. And there are people there who walk
3
slower.
miles.
Yeah, it is.
Not a small little lap.
You can walk at your own pace. There's some people who like to walk fast. There's others that walk slower. And I like to think of myself as kind of in the medium stride walker. But we do it every single day, Monday through Friday. And then Sundays, we also have another walking club that walks at 8 a.m. And we meet on the corner of Staten and Grant. And so that has been going really well. My family is my mother, my 81-year-old mother walks every single day. My daughter walks, my sister walks. Today we had my niece and my 6-year-old nephew out there. We were walking.
Well, you got to think about her generation as well, because she's the same age as my dad. They walked everywhere back in the day. You know what I'm saying? My dad was like, I used to walk from Berkeley to West Oakland to here to there and get on my bike. And I was like, they was moving, So for them to go out and do a walk, they just have to be like, right now, my dad suffers from diabetes, and to the point where it's almost like he'd have to get his legs amputated. But you have to think, if he didn't have those issues, how mobile would he be? You know what I'm saying? Like, I had an auntie that almost lived to 100, but due to other health issues, she was in a bed like 20 years of her life. Quality of life. Like you just said earlier, it's like, hey, we get up in these ages, but we did so much damage throughout the years. It's like we can't enjoy.
That's an excellent point.
We can't enjoy that last stint of our life where we can pass on the wisdom and different things to the next generations to come.
That's right.
Our
youth catches up with us At some point in time, you might think you're invincible when you're young, but at some point, it's going to catch up. And that's why I'm here to reverse the clock.
That's right. That's
there
right.
you go.
And moving is such a big part of that.
It
You know,
is.
moving is starting whenever you're going to start at whatever level that you're at. Because some people, you know, like I know my mom has all these back problems. She's not going to be walking around no lake, but there are things that she can do. She can lift weights. She can lift tiny weights. There are other things that can happen.
Yes.
And so, you know, so that's something that people should be aware of, to not lose hope.
Yes.
Just because you can't do one thing, it doesn't mean your body's not capable of doing something else that's also healthy for you.
Absolutely.
So my question for you is, what can your clients expect when they come to you for the for my beautiful soul? What can they expect from you and what you do?
Yeah, what's the first step of coaching, like when they come to you?
Well, the first thing they can expect from me is to be heard. I want them to feel listened to. I want them to feel heard. I want them to know that it'll be a non-judgmental environment. And I also want them to know that I will put together a plan for them that is for them. I'm not going to force what I did onto everybody and make them think that this is the only way to do it.
Exactly.
You know, and so I
meet them where they're at.
Exactly.
Right.
And I have a questionnaire that I want everyone to fill out initially so that I can get an idea of what their relationship with food is and how long they've been overweight and do they suffer from any diseases and are there any injuries that we need to know about, you know, things like that, so that I know before we have our first meeting, I already know some of these things about that person, and I'll have some informed questions that I can ask that will be follow-up as opposed to just initially, you know, trying to get to know them. And so, and then they can also expect me to support them along the way. I check in with my clients. Sometimes it's once a week. If they need it more than that, then they can have me, you know, as much as they need it. There's been one client where I met with him once every day for a couple of weeks, and then I was able to kind of wean off of that. And it wasn't long conversations, but he needed to know I was there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The support system.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that made a big difference for him. Not everybody needs that much, but they will be supported, and also they're going to be challenged. You know, I don't want to overdo it, but I want them to know that they can do more perhaps than what they're doing right now. And so, so that's definitely what they can expect from my beautiful soul.
Wonderful.
This is such a powerful combo. It reminds me of some of the conversations I have with my older clients, like working in finance. And how a lot of them, until it's too late, they don't realize how much of an impact that bad health has financially, right? And with something as simple as like long-term care. And this is so important for everybody listening to this, just to be properly covered, right? Especially in our younger years, because the older we get, of course, the more expensive it's going to be. We'll never be younger and healthier than we are today, right? And one of the number one killers of wealth is medical expenses. That's actually the number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States, medical expenses, right? And most people don't know that, but when we consider all the health issues that Black people deal with, right? And we see it firsthand and wonder, oh, why don't I have a legacy? Why are my parents leaving me debt instead of wealth? Well, we weren't properly covered. Right? So there are more ways to be covered than, of course, insurance and long-term care.
That's so important.
Right? Preventative measures.
That is very important.
It is so important. Yeah, that I hadn't even thought of that, Kwesi, and that is so incredibly important to share with people, because I think it's just like what Zenzile was saying earlier, is we think that that's inevitable. We think that that's part of our, that's just not, that it's destiny. Unavoidable. It's our destiny. And then when you're equating your financial legacy and your financial health and your the inheritance that you can pass on to your children and grandchildren, to your physical health and your responsibility for your physical health. You're not just doing it for yourself.
That's right.
You're not just being healthy for yourself. You're not just eating that kale for yourself.
Kale is good.
I like kale. Wait a minute.
Listen.
I got kale from your garden.
Oh, okay. Zenzile came to my house and got some kale from my garden. Yes, because kale is my jam.
I know. So Zenzile, we have a few minutes left, right? And I want to ask you this, because for those of you who are watching live, you can see Zen's is a very beautiful woman, right? For those of y'all on the radio, just take our word for it, right? But I want to ask you, right? Like, are you married? Are you dating? Are you looking? Like, what is that aspect of Zen's life?
No, I want to add on to that.
Add on to
Oh,
So
okay.
when you're looking, does he have to be in shape and healthy as you?
That's
my
a good
Wait,
question.
let's find out if there's somebody already.
Part A.
That's an excellent
Let's do
question.
part A of that
Yeah,
question first.
1A. I'm single and I'm available.
Ooh.
I'm not dating, but it's not because I don't want to date. It's just that I haven't been in a position to meet people in that way. A lot of it has to do with COVID, I'm sure.
Yes.
A lot of it has, with coming out of COVID. But
We outside now.
we are, and I'm open, and I would like somebody in my age range. I'm not a cougar. I'm looking for somebody who's, is seasoned like I am.
Below, yeah.
40 and below.
Right. And as Zenzi's long-term friend, I do want to put out there to any gentleman that might be interested in my sister Zenzi to contact me so I can vet you first. I want to vet you and
she
make
has a questionnaire.
sure that you're up to my standards. Yes, thank you.
We got layers.
But let me answer Kat's question too, because it's interesting that now that I'm healthy, I do have a standard that has, gone higher, because whoever I'm going to be with, I want us to live our lives together for a long time.
Yes.
I don't want to look at you and think diabetes. I don't want to look at you and think heart attack.
Yeah, you want a walking buddy around the lake.
I really do.
Yeah.
I do. So I'm gonna need you. If you're not healthy, that you want to be healthy. That you're on your way to
I
get
know
there.
that's right.
Because that is a value, a key value in my life now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you heard it here first.
Absolutely.
When we bring you on for part 2, we'll see. We'll see who made the cut. Absolutely. Well, I think.
No, we still got a little bit of time. I got this question. So, with COVID just allowing things to open up right now, any future events coming up, 2021, 2022, that you have going on with your nonprofit?
Wonderful. Yes. Well, right now the focus is coaching, consulting, and the walking clubs. But in September, I'm going to start having classes. I actually want Kenya to teach a yoga class. I've got a hip hop dancer that's going to teach that, and I also have someone in my life that teaches Zumba. So we want to provide those for the community at no cost to the community. And next year I want to start having summer camps, and I'm focusing right now on elementary school age, but I want to see it grow to where I have camps for all ages, including adults and families.
Yeah,
wow.
My child's in elementary school.
yes, it will be. And I'm really focusing on boys. Yeah, I really want something for our boys because they need it in our community. And so, and then the other thing that I'm looking forward to, it may not happen in 2022, but in the maybe 2023, I want to start having an annual gala. Because I'm going to have to do fundraisers because I'm a nonprofit.
Right.
And I don't get much opportunity to dress up and go places. And I think that's fun because I don't get to do that very often.
There you go.
And so I'm looking forward to having, or should I say gala? Well, how do you pronounce it?
I say gala.
Okay, I like gala better. I'm looking forward to having that and making it an annual event that people can look forward to going to with my beautiful soul.
Okay.
Yes.
So for all our viewers that are interested in getting in contact with you, can you let them know where your website is and your social media, emails, whatever you want to drop out there?
I thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
My website is mybeautifulsoul.org. My email is Zenzile, Zenzile @mybeautifulsoul.org. You can text me only at 510-778-0966. My Instagram, thank you, is Queen Zenzile. And my Facebook, which I'm on Facebook more than Instagram, but I'm going to try to get on Instagram more now. But my Facebook is Zenzile Scott. And so I just encourage you to reach out to me. If anything that we've talked about today resonates with you, speak to your spirit. If you feel like this is something you want support or help in doing, I am here for you. I'm here to help you in whatever way that I can. And I just want to thank you all so much for giving me this time and opportunity to be able to spend this time with you. Yes. And so I'm looking forward to, coming back and giving updates on different things that will be going on.
Perfect. So, Miss Kenya Asa, can you let our viewers know where they can get in contact with you as well?
Yes, sir. Hi, everybody. So, Ruby Envy Wellness, where we help you with all of your holistic mind, body, spirit, wellness needs, and we take you to where you want to be. You can also find me at Ruby Envy on Facebook, at Ruby Envy on Instagram, Kenya Asa MS on LinkedIn. Holler at me. And how about you, Brother Kwesi?
Yes. For anything and everything, finance, long-term care, insurance, or basic financial literacy, tap in with me on my personal page at Kwesi Dreams. That's at KWESI.dreams. And follow our business page at Alignment Agency. That's at Alignment AGNCY. What about you, Kat?
Yeah, if you're interested in anything strength and conditioning, weight loss, and just holistic health overall, when you think about the mind, body, and spirit, you can check out my website at catfitnesswellnesscenter.com. On Instagram, it's catfitness3, Facebook, Cat Fitness, and make sure that you follow our Anything Can Happen page on IG is ach.show on IG as well. Thank you for tuning in to another episode on 96.9 KGPC. This is the Anything Can Happen show, and we will see you next week. Peace out.
Bye.
And follow us online at ach.show, at ach.show. We'll see y'all next week.
Boom.
Yeah.
That is it, y'all.
Oh,
wow.
My goodness.
Come on.
You rock.
Yeah, that was good.
Come on.
Oh,
That was good.
That was fun.
Come on.
So good.
Having a good time.
It was so
Having a
good.
good time, y'all.
Oh, my goodness.
A lot of great information. If
Yes.
you're just tuning in, go back and watch the recorded version. We're going to post it in a second. But
Yes.
definitely come follow her page.
It was
So,
fun. It was a lot of fun, and it helped me to just solidify what I'm doing because I'm just getting this business started. So it's really helping me to feel official. Like this is really happening.
yeah, you manifesting
It's
it.
really happening.
Yes.
It's really happening.
Let's get it. Great job.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
It's so funny too, you guys, because I'm so greedy, right? Like as soon as I saw on Facebook that she posted her, you guys, she posted her website and everything, and I'm like, how I'm gonna get her on the show?
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah, and also too, this is my sister, and I want to shout out her business, and I was just like so excited. It's just like, yay! So
I know, and she's like, can you come tomorrow? I was like,
I know. I was like, can you come tomorrow?